Everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the PokerNews podcast. It is your girl Sarah Herring, joined by Jeff Platt and Chad Holloway. Also, we're going to have a few cameos from my daughter, Vera Kate Herring. She's in the midst of some sleep training, so things are going very good. Say hi to everybody.
Oh, baby Vera.
That's right, girl. And she
look at that hair.
Did not get the COVID, but when you do get the COVID, you cannot allow your nannies to come anymore to your home, or else they will get the COVID. So fortunately, my stepdaughter is just right in here in the mix, trying to handle things for everyone. Chad and Jeff are both in the city of sin. Chad, what's going on?
You know, we're just getting to the latter part of the WSOP.com bracelet events. We've hit that spot where we're overlapping now with GGPoker having events going on. We have them going on here in WSOP.com. So lots of WSOP action and some big name winners, as we're going to talk about on this podcast, including our guest this week. I had a chance to catch up with one world famous flying Lyons, Pat Lyons, who captured his first World Series of Poker bracelet. Pretty interesting guy, a character. He's a World Poker Tour champ, won the Arizona State Poker Championship. Now he's a bracelet winner. Very exciting stuff. He's, like I said, he's quite the character. So you're going to enjoy that interview, I think.
Pat Flying Lyons. Chad, you tired yet? You guys have been going pretty hard, and these events are obviously pretty long in the 12 to 15 hours range.
Yeah, yesterday we were really happy because we ended up finishing in like 11 hours instead of 12 hours. And it's amazing what, 1 hour more of sleep can do for you during this long grind. That was an exciting winner as well, with Tony Dunst of WPT fame taking down his second bracelet of his career. So we'll get into that, I'm sure. But, that's one of the things. It's long hours, but it's cool to be a part of poker history, if you will. So we can say we were there every step of the way when Tony Dunst won his second bracelet. And there's been some other stories that have happened. We talked about it last week. Ryan DePaulo winning his bracelet from the parking lot of a Whole Foods. If you haven't listened to that episode, definitely go back and check it out. It's, it was a classic. Ryan DePaulo is awesome. Sarah, you did a great interview with him. He's quite the character as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of him in the poker world moving forward.
Well, he's a great streamer, of course, and an interesting character, but we all know that the Twitch poker streams that are the best are Jeff Platt's, except for you had some technical issues last night. Jeff, what's the last week been like for you?
The last week overall has been pretty good. It's been pretty fun. We've had Daniel Negreanu make a couple deep runs. We've had Ryan DePaulo make a couple deep runs. Those two, along with Phil Hellmuth, are going to draw everybody. In fact, for the PLO 6-max, we had Negreanu and Hellmuth sitting next to each other at the same table, so that was completely am. Negreanu busted Hellmuth and then called me. I don't mean to brag, of course, but Daniel Negreanu did call me a couple times throughout our stream, so the people love that. It's been great. And then, last night, just 10 people left, and we were broadcasting on Twitch down to a final table of 6, and Cox said, you know what? We'll see you later. Cox cable and said night-night to the internet, deuces, and we'll fix it in about 8 hours, which doesn't help me. And internet completely out, but I think we are back today and we are good to go. And I'm glad Chad mentioned Tony Dunst winning bracelet number 2, because it's obviously very clear that I am the most talented poker player out of all the commentators, but Tony Dunst is the luckiest, right? We just all agree on that from a skill perspective, it's all me. And from a luck perspective, it's all Tony.
100%. It's just about that suit. Like I'm pretty sure his whole name and notoriety and everything is just because of those nice suits that he wears.
Yeah,
Jeff is the man who's actually meant to be shipping bracelets and took like 22nd or something in the World Series of Poker main event one time.
Yeah, we can exaggerate that like that. Yeah, let's just go with it.
It just keeps going up. I really like this joke. Well,
Good
before we get too much into the latest news, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. This week, we are sponsored by Natural 8. If for some reason you haven't heard yet, the online World Series of Poker Festival is happening now till the 16th of September. There'll be massive prize pools and 54 gold bracelets up for grabs. Kickstart your WSOP journey with Natural 8's exclusive Winner's Circle promo. How this works is simple. Just play in any of the WSOP online bracelet events on Natural 8, and if you win a gold bracelet, you'll actually be part of the winner's circle. This means you'll be inducted into Team Bling, sister team to Natural 8's Team Hot ambassadors. Plus, you can win up to $100,000 in other sponsorship rewards, which include a $15,000 Las Vegas package and the rest in live event and online tournament sponsorships. Remember, only exclusively for Natural 8 players. To find out more, check out the website natural8.com/ I don't even know the difference anymore, if I'm honest with you guys. natural8.com/WSOP. We will, of course, put the link in the description for you guys, and download the Natural 8 app now to start playing. That's natural8.com/WSOP. I really don't even know. Can you guys tell me, is this a slash and this is a backslash?
I think for the internet, slash, everybody knows slash, and they wouldn't have a backslash in it, right? They wouldn't have the other way.
There's like one main way. There's like
there's one main slash,
and
that's web addresses.
The way, and that's the way we're talking. Okay.
That's the backslash. Like if you're looking at it and it's leaning back, away, then that's the backslash.
But you just say slash though.
Yeah, do you? Hey, maybe you guys can let us know, okay? But we will just always include the links in the description because that's the easiest way. Everyone just wants to click through. Well, generally speaking, I like to go for the juiciest things first, but in this situation, I'm just going to keep you guys guessing per the usual. Let's talk a little bit just about the first bracelets. Let's say event 15, 16, 17. Chad, do you want to start with 15?
Yeah, the 15 was the pot limit Omaha. They called it the high roller. It was a $1,000 buy-in, 8 max event, and it was won by Phil Locke, not the Unabomber Phil Locke. This was won by Phil Locke on WSOP.com, the screen name for a player by the name of Guy Dunlap, who's actually from Oregon up there in the Pacific Northwest, has played at casinos like Chinook Winds and taken down some tournaments there. He topped a field of 663 entries, won this thing for $133,000, defeated Shane Daniels, a.k.a. Danish 01, in heads-up play. It's actually the second time that Danish 01 had finished in second place. I believe he actually took runner-up to Nathan Gamble in a pot limit 08 event earlier in the series. So 2 runner-up finishes for him is pretty impressive. But Guy Dunlap getting it done for his first bracelet and $133,000 payday.
Amazing, amazing. And wow, I feel like we just keep coming. This name game thing is no joke. People are hot on it. If you guys were gonna name yourselves some other random online internet name, who would you guys choose?
Like if we had to choose another poker player to be online and try to assume their identity?
Yeah, since Dan Bilzerian's taken, Phil Lyons taken.
For me, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would be Jeffy Platt, for sure.
Yes.
Jeffy Platt.
Yes, there we go. That's what I like to hear. Thank you. I think I would go with Pat Lyons, and then you have that super aggro image and probably just get paid off a bunch when you have the Stone Cold Nuts.
It's funny because he couldn't even get that name, and we're going to talk to him about that, about why he has the screen name that he does. He couldn't even get his own name on WSOP.com.
That's the worst. I feel like you should have some sort of, like, once you have the street cred and you've already built up a name, you should have some option to get it. Jeffy Platt is going to be gone for sure. Watch out. All right, Jeff, you want to talk a little bit about event number 16? Did you pay any attention to this one? Seems like a big one.
I did indeed. These are the fun ones. These are the turbos, and the turbos, they end in less than 8 hours of play. Like, to your point, Sarah, they get a massive field, 1,528 entries. This one was won by Terrell Cheatham. He's a hustler, his online screen name. He wins more than $116,000. Daniel Negreanu went deep in this one. Jason Somerville went deep in this one. Kevin McPhee went deep in this one. And as far as the final table was concerned, Julian Parman finished in second place. That was his first of back-to-back final table appearances. And then I think on the third night of this stretch, he made the final 2 tables. So we've seen a couple of these runs, like Chad mentioned with Dana Show 1. We see it with Parman. We've seen it with Ryan Torgerson. So a lot of guys are stringing together some really impressive runs, but it's Terrell Cheatham coming out on top for more than 116K.
You mentioned Parman. He actually is our kind of winner, if you will, of performance of the week, Jeff, because of what you just mentioned, the finishing in second place here, then final tabling the very next event, and then I think he made a deep run like 15th, and a lot, got unlucky. He almost made 3 final tables in a row, so really made a name for himself over this 3 days. And if you want to read more about it, go to PokerNews.com and just type in performance of the week, and you can read a little more about the Las Vegas Grinder. He's been playing professional poker for 14 years, so it's a name that's been out there, and he's certainly making a run here in the WSOP.com.
There's definitely a lot of names that I feel like have been filtering towards the top of a lot of tournaments, including Kevin McPhee. I feel like I've seen that name so many times now towards the top of the leaderboards in a bunch of these tournaments. But let's talk then, Chad, you talked to Pat Lyons. Let's talk a little bit about that tourney, including Parman, and then lead us into your interview with Pat.
Sure. Yeah, it was for event number 17, the $777 no limit hold'em event. I actually got to play that myself while we tested out the PokerNews Twitch stream, and it was fun. I actually took the early chip lead. I had over 100K when the blinds were like 200, 400, and so I was sitting atop the leaderboard early on, which was a very big thrill for me because I'm usually grinding that short stack, just trying to hold on. So that was fun. I didn't cash. I went card dead down the stretch, but it was a huge field, 1,382 entries, took 11 hours, and at the final table, you had Jonathan Dokler, who actually won the kickoff event at the start of this series. He finished in 4th place, another great showing for him. Scott Hempel, known as Bud Light Lime, finished in 7th. Remember that name because we're going to talk about him here on the show today. And then Julian Parman, he finished 8th. You remember he just won and then he finished 8th. And then coming in 9th place, and this is interesting, is Dave Alpha, goes by Dunning-Kruger. I say it's interesting because he pulled the old Mark Newhouse. He finished 9th in back-to-back events, and then he actually finished 9th in another event for the hat trick for 3 in a row a couple days before that. So lots of 9th place finishes for Dave Alpha, who is on the WSOP.com leaderboard because of all these deep runs. But coming out on top was one Pat Lyons. Goes by Ichikawawa online. It's a pretty unique screen name. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But he was kind enough to join me before the tournament one day. He was also with his friend Nipun, who plays online as well as Addicted to Win, I believe is his name. And Nipun Ajmani, I think is the name, but he jumps in there, offers some feedback on Pat Lyons' win. And he's, like I said earlier, he's a character. And I'll let you listen to that interview right now. All right, I am with our guest this week, a guy I'm very excited to talk to. I've played with him a few times. He is a recent World Series of Poker bracelet winner. He topped a field of 1,382 entries in event number 17, the 777 no limit hold'em event. One Flying Lyons, Pat Lyons. Pat, how you doing?
Not too bad, Chad. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk to you. I know, winning that bracelet meant a lot to you.
You have no idea. I've waited all of 15 years to get it. I was out here in 2005, and you think you're going to get it, and you find out how really quickly 15 years goes by. It was worth every minute.
We were doing
it came online too.
Yeah, we were doing the updates for it for PokerNews, and we actually didn't know it was you until towards the end when you tweeted out a picture. Tell me a little bit about your screen name. Is it Ichikawawa?
It's Ichikawawa. So I'll give you a quick story. So I'm not an online guy at all, right? I play live poker, and what happened was with this coronavirus nonsense, it kept dragging on. So I was playing in a couple friends groups. We have a couple little poker groups, and I essentially schooled myself for about 2 months, learning how to play online. My buddy's got a 369 club. My other buddy's got Winter Circle Club. Anyway, I was winning satellites left and right, but I was losing in the tournaments. Crazy things were happening. And, I'm like Ichi. I call people Ichi and Ichi Kawawa. It's a word I made up. I wanted to get my name to be world famous for World Famous Pat Lyons. Somebody took that one. I actually want to meet who this idiot is because I'm the only world famous there is. And then I said, okay, I'll use Flying Lyons. And I'm the one that invented Flying Lyons without a G. I did that about, I don't know, we'll say 40 years ago or so. It was magically gone too. So then I thought, well, they can't use Ichi Kawawa. So we did my Ichi Kawawa, and it worked. And so that was a screen name. And then I started hearing, hey, this guy Ichi Kawawa, and then my buddy Nipun, right? He's like, Pat, you want to watch it? I said, no, it'll distract me. I don't want to know all the updates. Because last year, when I'm playing in the one of the side events, I was like a top 2 chip leader. And I started looking at social media. Pat Lyons is doing this. Pat Lyons is doing this. I had like 1.4 million chips or something crazy. Anyway, I donked him off. I'm pretty good at making my own betting style. Blinds are 100, 200, 5 million. You know.
Right. Oh, I know. I've played with you before. I've played with you.
You know that.
Yep.
Yeah. But that's the world famous Pat Lyons style. But anyway.
So you're playing in Las Vegas right now. Was Nipun there watching you win? Was Nipun there watching you win?
So we're kind of Nipun was with me the whole time. We were actually we're staying at a cool ass timeshare. It's a Diamond Resorts timeshare. It's fun. I have a gambling problem, so this worked out perfect. I get to be in a timeshare in Nevada, in Vegas, and I'm playing in my balcony with the view of the cars, bumping our music, screaming for cards, all in the energy, the whole ball of wax, and we had fun. We had a kick-ass time. And it's easy to be distracted with other things. This was I was like, we're on the Zoom meeting. I was so zoomed in. Nothing. I knew 100% what kind of hands these guys were playing. And that was only my second online tournament.
Oh wow!
And I knew automatically what kind of hands they had.
Well, now you've got a World Series of Poker bracelet. I also know in 2016 you had a great year. You won the WPT Legends of Poker. You won the Arizona State Poker Championship. Where does this World Series of Poker bracelet win rank among your accomplishments? So that's a really awesome ass question. So I don't like to say anything is better than anything else. I'm very even. And this World Series bracelet, it culminates something that's going to be really exciting. Everybody wants me to do like my own YouTube or my this or that, whatever, some exciting thing. And I would probably be very, very good. Did telecommunications in college, and I know I've got a good voice, blah, 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 all that other stuff. I'm kind of a cocky guy, but long story short, I'm going to create a book. And I'm going to tell the story. You know how I was kicked out? It's kind of famous, right? I got kicked out from Caesar Properties for 3 years. Yep, and I was going to ask you about that. So you're not kicked out anymore, right? You were no problem playing online. Actually, we'll save that because that's an awesome-ass story. But long story short, this was everything I needed to do to complete my necessary, I don't like to say a goal because I'm going to win the World Series main event. I will win the main event. And then you're going to have somebody who's I don't know how kind of words we can use, but I'm a freaking badass. And you're going to see somebody, everything you see, it's going to be ridiculous. It'll be the funniest thing you've ever seen. But I will win the main event. And I will 100% I'll win the main event. I knew I was always going to win a World Series bracelet. And if you had asked me, Pat, we have World Series bracelets online. Do you think you'll win one? My true answer would have been no way. I don't have a chance because these guys are better with familiarity with playing the game. Right. What happened was by playing in my buddies' groups, Nipun's group and Joe's group, and like I said, the Winter Circle group, the 369 group, I was playing every single day for about 2 months, maybe 2.5 months. Every single day, not one day off. I'm on the toilet, I'm playing. I'm getting out of the shower, I'm playing. It was like awesome. I'm a very obsessive guy, whatever, it was a joke. It started becoming like super easy. And now I can see the stacks. I can see the stacks they have. I can see how many players left. I can see this, that. It was a joke. It's like, I feel bad
for live poker, because what I did to online poker is like the Chris Moneymaker effect. You have the world famous Pat Lyons effect. It's Ichi Kawawa, baby. They're going to think if Pat can do it, I can do it. A guy that doesn't play online comes in and kicks their ass. And the funny thing is, if I get on another final table, now they know who Ichi Kawawa is. If I'm on another final table, I will win that final table in this series I'm playing. I blew it last night. I got busted 82nd. They will not be able to beat me.
Let me ask Nipun, you're back there. I know you've been playing a little bit. What was it like to be there and watch Pat win that bracelet?
Oh, man. It was probably my most exciting poker moment in my short career that I've been involved. I know Pat for a long time, and from the beginning of my poker time, we've been through a lot of victories and a lot of celebrations. But this was something amazing because like there's only a few people that have won a bracelet and a WPT, and to be part of that with Pat was special. I'm never going to forget. I told Pat before we got here, we won for the bracelets, but we're going to make bigger memories than anything. And this is true. You could vouch for this, that we came out here on a mission. And I'm proud of Pat. I'm so proud of him and what he's accomplished. And he does the unbelievable. Nobody's going to believe it. If I told you before this series started that Pat was going to win an online bracelet, nobody would have. His odds would be, if there was some odds to put on this man, they would be, miraculous. But anything can be done. This shows that it's wide open. Anybody can get in this game and win on WSOP online. Just put your hard work in it and play like a champion. Play with your heart out, no fear, because that's what he's been doing. And I've incorporated that in my game, and I've been getting a lot of success. And our clubs that we practice in and play in, they're real good ways to get better in the game before you come to WSOP online and start taking these shots. You want to be a little bit prepared for what you're about to get into. You're playing 100 hands an hour instead of 35 like in the live game. You're playing 4 times more hands. It's a faster pace, and it's all about getting to the end so you can take a shot at winning the bracelet. Anybody, I told Pat, as long as you're in the final 20, 30 in these tables, anybody can win this bracelet.
Right. Now, you're playing a little bit too. And Pat's obviously got a very entertaining screen name. What's your screen name on WSOP.com?
My screen name is not entertaining at all. I wanted to make it addicted to win because I love the Win Casino. I was going to be addicted to WYNN, but the World Series of Poker has a username character restriction. So I had to squeeze it down to addicted to the normal win, WIN. So I am addicted to win on the WSOP. I made a few updates already on the PokerNews for a couple of bounties on the first one, a couple of little exciting hands here and there, but nothing like this. And there's more to come. We told Pat this is just our second event. We're here to stay. We're not going anywhere. We're gonna just pile these little victories. Last night he could tell you he blew it.
I blew it
We
here.
were there. I was upset about it. It's not easy. Even the champs make mistakes. This is a very brutal game. And, you gotta be prepared for anything to happen at any moment and stay focused. That's about it. So,
well, Pat, let me ask you. Let me ask Pat real quick too, because this was a question I had on social media. Some folks thought that you were still banned from Harrah's, and I said no, or from Caesars rather, and I said no, that's not the case. I know he's been unbanned since then. I know it's a long story, but can you give us the abridged version? Like what led to the ban, and then how did you get it overturned? Because I think it's great that it all happened, and now you've won the bracelet.
So it's kind of a crazy thing. So I suffer from stenosis in my spine, and I have disc degeneration. And I've also had pancreatitis for 30 years. So I take a lot of supplements, and I have a lot of discomfort in my spine. So taking lots of supplements, you want to have a lot of water. And Las Vegas doesn't have the best drinking water. I'm not being cheap, but I'm a 7-star gambler, high-level gambler, and I was asking for waters. But I had also been experiencing some sciatica pain problems. So sciatica pain, very painful. I was on the gabapentin, Flexerol, Tramadol, and Norcos medication. My doctor told me to take it in the morning and take it in the evening before I go to bed. I thought I'd be fancy because it was very, very, very painful. I took it in the middle of the day. It loops your brain out.
Sure.
So I went on to it. I had kind of a fit, but I didn't know it. But I'm very aggressive. I don't like to be told no. Trump and everything. If Trump fails as a president, Biden fails as a president, Pat Lyons run as president. I'll make the whole world get together. I don't take no for an answer. But long story short, I was being too needy and kind of a diva or whatever that stuff. So they excluded me. It wasn't poker related. It was more on the executive side. They excluded me for 3 years, and then I got reinstated. I wrote some letters, talked to some people, and then just said, hey, we're going to allow you to come back in and just play poker. And that was last year. And I think I cashed 9 times or 10 times last year. I almost got a chance to get that bracelet. I know I had a chance, but I took it for granted, I guess. So when this chance came now, yes, I am legally reinstated. It's on the poker side. By me winning this bracelet now, who knows? Maybe I'll be allowed to come back in. I love the place. I've always loved the Rio. I like it because it has long hallways. And most poker people are lazy by nature. So this forces you to do a lot of walking. And I was actually getting in shape. Winning money or losing money, whatever. Hurrying up to the sports book, hurrying up to the room, hurrying down to the poker table. It was awesome. I love it. So
well,
I'm back in.
Speaking of getting in shape, your winner's photo, if you will, was was on Twitter. You holding your computer shirtless after you won the bracelet. Yeah. that's going to be your winner's photo now.
So to explain that beautiful picture, for the last 4 months, right? So essentially March 14th or so, 15th, all the way until now, July, right, the 20th. I have been very lazy. What have I been doing? Essentially playing on the computer, the poker groups, all my social media. I wasn't going to the casinos. I wasn't going anywhere. No, if you go here, we have no hot tubs are open here. We're at a nice resort, but the hot tub is not open because of the coronavirus. So it's very hard for me. I have to improvise. The hot tub, the bathtub, and the suite. We have a suite. Whatever. It's not quite big enough. I'm tall. I'm 6'3", so I didn't like seeing myself like that. But I'm also 6'3", and I'm also a real guy. If I was like trying to create an image and what have you, I would quickly throw a shirt on, and it's not natural. That was literally like 25 seconds, right? Like 10 seconds, almost exactly after I won. Go, holy shit! Nipun jumps on me. I go, Nipun, you're killing me. My back. It's like, sorry, man. He goes, you just won a bracelet. We're going crazy. It's like, fuck, get the thing, take a picture, and it's like, shit. I was like, who cares, I have trouble with my girlfriend. Maybe I'll get a new girlfriend. Who knows? You're gonna see me at the worst I look. I'll become a pretty guy again.
Well, I'm really excited that you won. When I seen it was you, I was very happy for you. Like I said, I've gotten to play with you, gotten to know you a little bit, and there's still about 12 bracelets left as we're recording this, and so maybe, who knows? Maybe number 2 will be in store for you, or maybe Nipun, you'll get one as well. There's plenty of chances yet.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's inspiring. My only purpose here is to stack up on bracelets. Whether he gets it or I get it, we're a team, and we're going to keep it in the game, in the club, in the house, taking it back to the Bay Area. They can't take the bracelet away from us. So that's about it. We're going to try to get more, and we're here. We're not going anywhere. So it's a great opportunity.
Well, before I let you guys...
the weather is very different in the Bay Area where we are. It's like 75 degrees. We're out here, it's 106.
Right.
We love it though. We super love it. So yesterday, Jack Eiffel, right? He gave me the virtual presentation of the bracelet, which was awesome. We actually went to the Rio with the backdrop of the Rio behind us at the stairway. Security came up to me and they said, "I'm sorry, sir, you can't be here." And I thought, no, don't tell me we're going to get banned again.
Well, I think it's great. I'm really thrilled that you won the bracelet. And before I let you go, Pat, you are the world famous Flying Lion. So I'll give you the last word. Anything you want to say to the poker world right now? Here's your chance.
Well, essentially, you're going to be about 85 to 90% of the time you're going to lose the game. That's just the way the game is. You get 15% get the money, 10% get the money. If you accept your losses, when you win, it makes it that much more sweeter. That's why I'm a cocky guy, whatever, because I'm really good at losing. And when I win, who's your daddy, baby? It's world famous Pat Lyons. It's Flying Lions. Ichi Kawawa.
All right, a big thank you to Pat Lyons for taking the time out of his busy schedule to chat with us. I think it's pretty cool. Pat is a guy who's been around a while. He's a WPT champion. He's won the Arizona State Poker Championship. Now he's a WSOP bracelet winner. And I'm excited that he's back in Caesars Properties because, as he chatted about in the interview, he was banned for a few years there. And so to come back and then ship a bracelet, obviously you could tell from his enthusiasm, it was a big deal to him, and definitely one of the more memorable winners for me this month.
I had played with Ichikawa for a couple events, maybe right before event number 17 or maybe event number 17. Exactly. Ichikawa, I should say, Mr. Pat Flying Lyons. And it's like, wow, this guy is a wild man. He is insane. He is crazy. He is super aggressive. He uses big sizing. This is a guy who is not too concerned about ICM. He's playing for the win. He's playing for the bracelet, and it's cool to see him. Cool to see him get one. I did not run into Disco Chad yet at any of my World Series of Poker tables, but like Chad said, I did see the man's name pretty high up on the leaderboard.
You know, at the time, you were way down there. Like, you started off well. You got up to 15K to 40K or something. And then I hit my stride and surpassed you. And while I was going to the top, you were headed towards the bottom because you were like at 4,500 or something. We were watching, and then we flipped it. I just dwindled till I was felted, and you spun it up. You ended up cashing in that.
I did end up cashing, but for some reason, Chad, not in the PokerNews.com notables list as far as cashes are concerned. I mean, Sarah, the amount of disrespect is very high, and it's just continued, over this last month or so. I don't know how much more I can tolerate of this.
You have been doing well, Jeff, but a couple other guys real quick who have been doing well and we're starting to take notice is Ryan the Plant and Roland Israel. Roland Israel.
Yeah,
Roland Israel. Ryan the Plant last night cashed in his 8th tournament in a row. That's crazy. Yeah, in his 13th tournament overall out of 21 events. He's cashed in 13 out of 21 events, 8 in a row now, which is just incredible. Now, granted, most of these are kind of on the min cash side of things. He's still looking for his final table, but still that cash rate is insane. And then Roland Israel is right behind him with 12. And of course, he's had, I think, at least one, maybe 2 final table appearances, a lot of deep runs. So Roland Israel is having a great series as well. The cash in more than half the events that they're playing is just really cool, and a storyline I'm looking forward to following here through the end of the month.
Ryan's one of those people also that I just feel like has such value to bring back to the poker community. Every time I interview him, I'm just so impressed with his candor, first of all, his ability to really put things out there that I think are maybe strategy related or things that lots of other players are shy or uncomfortable talking about. I even feel I've done interviews with him just about staking, and I really appreciate and value Ryan as someone who is willing to sort of put his money where his mouth is and not afraid to share the information that he's gained in his years as a poker player with everybody else. Well, Chad, you did mention that Mr. Flying Lyons has won a WPT bracelet before, and the WPT has its own online championships that they are going to be running. Do you want to give us a little bit of insight into what that's going to be looking like?
Yeah, the WPT World Online Championships are actually running right now. They kicked off on July 17th, but it's just the start because it's running through September 8th on Party Poker. There's a lot of information on PokerNews.com. In fact, there's a great article that's titled "Everything You Need to Know About the WPT World Online Championships on Party Poker." So if you're interested in learning more, head there. That article is going to have everything you need. Of course, what most people want to know is what are some of the key points of the festival. One of the big points is that WPT is going to have 5 events where the winners are actually going to get their names etched on the WPT Champions Cup, which has been renamed, Sarah. This was actually pretty exciting news yesterday. The Champions Cup is going to be renamed to honor Mike Sexton, Poker Hall of Famer, and of course, longtime World Poker Tour commentator, in a kind of really cool, ironic twist on the day that this was announced is when Tony Dunst won the WSOP event. And, of course, Tony Dunst took Mike Sexton's empty seat when he left and retired from the commentary at the WPT. So that was just really cool. I know we'll talk more about Tony Dunst later, but I think, what a great move by the WPT. What a great honor for them to bestow on Mike Sexton by renaming the Championship Cup. I mean, if you look at the NFL, the Lombardi Trophy, other sports, the Stanley Cup, and these trophies are usually named to honor somebody. And now in poker for the WPT, it's after Mike Sexton, which I think is just really, really cool.
I agree with that. I mean, he's certainly one of the game's icons. He's certainly one of the game's ambassadors. I feel like he was an ambassador for the game before we even started discussing ambassadors. He's just been so good for poker. And I think this just raises the prestige of this WPT Champions Cup by renaming it the Mike Sexton WPT Champions Cup. This is what would certainly qualify as good for the game. Couldn't be a bigger fan of Mike Sexton. We don't have many nicer people in this game than him. So I'm very happy for him and for the WPT to make that move. That's just it's just the right move to make. It's that simple.
Totally agree. He's such a class act, and to see
Vera loves him. Vera loves Mike Sexton.
Vera's a big fan. To see these, even that he's sort of separated from the WPT in its business sense at this point, and has moved on to some other ventures, but it clearly still has such a great relationship. I think that's not all that common. And also, when my father-in-law came to Las Vegas during the World Series, and I was working at the World Series, he wanted to meet Mike Sexton, and I was able to arrange that introduction, which gave me a ton of clout in the family.
Nice.
So I'm a huge fan of Mike. He's always got time for the little guys, which I appreciate. And I am very excited to get into the Dunst bracelet, but also since we've decided, and by we I mean I've decided that we're going in timeline order this week to keep everyone on their toes. We ended at event 17, Pat Lyons, which Scott Hempel took 7th. And then as it has been going for this WSOP series, once someone final tables an event, it's very likely the next event that they play, they're going to win. So which one of the two of you wants to talk a little bit about bracelet in event 18?
I'll go quickly because Sarah, you mentioned it. It is Scott Hempel, Bud Light Lime. He finishes 7th in event number 17. That is the event that Pat Lyons won. He wins event number 18 for more than $181,000. I mean, just another big turnout for a 1K, not more than $937K in the prize pool. He's, Chad, as you mentioned in your recap article, he's also a part of the WPT's LA Poker Classic final table, which has been delayed, of course, but is scheduled to at least at some point play out at the HyperX eSports Arena. So I would say, Mr. Holloway, pretty nice run for Mr. Hempel over these last couple months.
Yeah, you're just on a hiatus waiting for a WPT final table, and in the meantime, you ship a WSOP bracelet. That's a really cool story. And a final table before that. So obviously, Scott Hempel is a name we should be paying attention to here in the poker world. Another one to pay attention to from this final table, in my opinion, is the 6th place finisher, Landon Tice, goes by Action Dealer. If that name does sound familiar, it's because you've probably heard Joey Ingram talking about it, talking about this young kid, 21-year-old, in Vegas, grinding some of these events. He's mainly a cash game player, but took a shot. I think this is just the 2nd tournament he played. Here he is final tabling it. He finished 2nd in a WSOP side event that they're hosting online as well. So he's notching a bunch of scores. And I actually had the chance to play with him at the beginning of the month. Live poker. It was just a 1-2 game at the Sahara. Joey Ingram was there. Jesse phoned with me at PokerNews. We were just having a little fun. And he's good. Like you talk about the young people up and coming in the game. And like I said, he's 21 years old and he is really, really good at poker. And I think he is the sort of player who we could see a lot from moving forward in the future. I know Joey Ingram thinks that as well. So just bringing his name up here because, if my gut feeling is right, we might be talking about him more on this podcast in the future of poker. So.
Well, let's move right on. We like to call our shots. You all know that we called Ali Msirovic like a year before he was a boss. So now we're going to call the next one out. NBD, you guys come here first for the next big things in poker. Chad, you want to take us through event 19?
Yeah, event number 19 was a $400 no-limit hold'em event. And now these are attracting massive fields as this was the biggest event yet on WSOP.com. 2,545 entries. It took 11 and a half hours for a winner to emerge, and that winner was New Jersey's Kenny Quinn, a.k.a. Chapa, online at WSOP.com, won the $400 event, spun it into a $134,000 payday. Pretty impressive. He's an East Coast grinder. He's finished second in the 2020 Parks Big Stacks 32 back in February for over $80,000. Last summer finished fifth in a big Borgata event for almost $70,000. So he's just one of those New Jersey crushers and now a World Series of Poker bracelet winner.
These New Jersey crushers. And also I was wondering how you were going to say it. Quinn, it's like, there's a lot of really interesting ways, I guess, to say and spell Quinn. Because that's not what I was expecting. But
yeah, this one is Huynh. I mean, I could be butchering it. Could be, Huynh. I really don't know, but I think it's like when in doubt, I just go with win.
Yeah. Okay. I'm into it. All right. Let's talk about the 6max PLO that Kevin Gerhart won. Jeff, you seem interested in that.
Very interested in that. Ryan Laplante tweeted the other day, my buddy, Kevin Gerhart, was skipping the WSOP, decided to play just the $500 PLO 6max and wins it. So Kevin Gerhart doesn't play, says, you know what, I'm going to jump into the mix for the $500 PLO 6max and just wins it for more than $97,000, more than 1,100 entries. And that one, the action was fast and furious until it got down to 9, and then it took a while. This was one of the longer tournaments, certainly. Chris Moorman finished in fourth in this one. This was the one I mentioned earlier where you did have Daniel Negreanu and Phil Hellmuth at the same table. You did have Negreanu busting Hellmuth. I'm sure Hellmuth was quite pleased with those circumstances. It's just, fun tournament. A lot of action. Ryan DiPaolo cashed. Sean Deeb cashed. Tom Marchese cashed. Connor Drynan cashed. So the superstars were out for the six-handed $500 Pot Limit Omaha event.
We just kept the six-handed action going, which everyone knows is the only real way to play poker. And it was Tony Panoramic Dunst who won event number 21. I don't want to start by having Jeff talk about this one because there's clearly a lot of backstory, some history, some drama, a lot of competition between these two. Chad, tell me what you're coming out with on this one.
Yeah, it was exciting to see Tony Dunst take this down. I was doing the live updates for PokerNews on this tournament. I remember writing some hands early on where Tony Dunst was left with crumbs. I think they started with 15K, and we're talking he had like 800 in chips. And then he started making a comeback, and he spun it up a little bit. Now, I don't know if he ended up busting and rebuying or anything like that. I'm going to try to ask him to find out, in between. But I like to think that he was able to spin that up and finish as the last player standing in this $777 buy-in, no limit hold'em, six-handed event. It got 1,361 entries, and it was an exciting event. One of the storylines that stood out not only in this event, but I've noticed it throughout WSOP.com online, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it more in future episodes, is how many women are really succeeding as they're playing these online events. And here we had seen a woman at the final table for the second time. Krista Gifford ended up finishing in fifth place for $36,000. Another one going deep was Katie Stone, who was actually playing her first online event of the series. She finally made it back to New Jersey, I think from Texas, jumped in action right away, and ended up finishing in 16th place. Vanessa Cade is another one who's consistently going deep. Jamie Kerstetter, of course, and there's lots of others. And it's something we're trying to pay more attention to here at PokerNews. And I think before this WSOP is done, whether it's on WSOP.com or whether it's on GGPoker, we're going to see a female bracelet winner, a female online bracelet winner, maybe even more than one.
Yeah, I think so. It seems to be a deep run night after night. I mean, Krista Gifford, real quick, goes by Pollux on WSOP.com. She was the 2019 WSOP.com Player of the Year. She grinds. She is in every single tournament. I mean, I bet she fires, now dozens of tournaments per day. I mean, she just clearly works, and then works some more on her game. So it's good to see her with a final table finish. It's a very well-deserved final table finish at that.
And as
I'm
far
curious
as
what you guys think, though. Chad, you mentioned this to me yesterday and the day before, that you've been seeing a lot of women go deep, and sort of the percentage where we're expecting to see maybe sometimes a little more than 4% of the field being a woman, that we're looking at 7% in some of these tournaments being women. What do you attest to this? What do you see as the reasons why this might be specifically during this series?
I want to say this real quick. It would be nice to know what percentage of these events are women. And it's hard to determine, because there's sometimes I'm looking at screen names and I'm like, oh, here is Victoria 123. And then I look it up and it's Bob Smith or something, it's the guys maybe choosing a more feminine name or what have you. I've also
or it's
seen
the Wolverine one who you think is a
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. You see vice versa as well. So I think the uptick might have something to do where online poker is a bit more convenient for one, right? You can play from the comfort of your home. And a part of that silver lining too is, if you're a female poker player, I obviously haven't had to deal with it. Sarah, maybe you can talk a little more about it, but playing live in a live setting is got to be a lot different than playing online. You have to deal with other players, and some of those other players might not be, as accommodating to women at a poker table. I mean, obviously we want that not to be the case, but we've heard women talk about their experiences on the felt, that has been discouraging and certainly disappointing. But online, you don't have to do that. You are playing from the comfort of your home. You're not looking at somebody face to face. And in a lot of these cases, they don't know whether you're male or female or vice versa. And so I feel like online poker is just a bit more of a level playing field, if you will. And I think, that certainly probably appeals to a lot more women than having to actually go out and try playing live poker in the live realm.
Yeah, it really, shoves it right back up my rear end, because I've always said, there's this whole story of like, oh, it's like so hard for women to play poker. And I'm always like, that's BS. If women wanted to play poker, they would, and they should. They just don't. Like, there's not as much interest. And so really, when you're seeing these numbers, which could potentially be twice as many women, say, playing as are playing in the traditional WSOP, it really does, I think, suggest that it's possible that it's just uncomfortable and nerve-wracking for women to play in a live setting. And I even remember for my own self, like shaking, the first time I played live poker. And I think I was playing Limit even, and I was just totally nervous. But that being said, I think a lot of people are very nervous playing live poker. And so I think for me, I just attributed it to that, right? That it's just scary in general to play live poker, and didn't think too much about how different it might be, as a woman, say. But this gives me a lot more hope, right? The idea that there's this, player pool that's out there that is maybe untapped, and that potentially bringing online poker back could give us, I don't know, not necessarily another boom, but a lot more people.
I think, this reminds me of a podcast we did a while ago where, Sarah, I think you were still on maternity leave, but our guest was Stephanie Wilder-Taylor, who is like a true crime podcast host and done more mainstream stuff. But she had talked about, because of the pandemic, she found online poker again. She's always enjoyed the game. She's already played here and there, but she started playing again because she had, because of the convenience of it. She was a mother. She was always working. She didn't have a lot of free time. So she found that firing up online poker is a lot easier than having to go down to a live casino and play live. And, I think for a lot of females who might be in motherhood like yourself, the idea of playing online is certainly a lot easier to digest than than having to maybe find a babysitter or whatnot so that you could go play live. Of course, you can't play live right now because of all that's going on, but I think you catch my drift.
But this leads us to a point where all of us have to be involved in creating a more welcoming culture in the live realm whenever poker does return to quote unquote normal, whatever normal may look like. Maybe it's a year, maybe 2 years down the road. And not just for women who are just starting in poker, who don't want to be scared away right off the bat, but also for women, who just enjoy live poker and want to play a lot of live poker. And that will rely on other guys at the table speaking up. Don't, let some guy make some creepy comment or sexist comment. It's just, in order to make the culture more welcoming, you have to call out the people who are disturbing that culture. And I think the more and more we see of that, the more and more welcoming the live poker realm is, the more and more women we see in the game. It's all a beautiful thing.
And also not just like creepy pervos who have, say whatever they want to say, because actually the experience for me specifically, right, if I've anecdotal evidence, but some of the worst things I've experienced at poker tables had nothing to do with sex or being sexy or any of that, but more to do with just criticizing play. When you very first start and you feel uncomfortable and you're nervous, and then people want to make fun of you or ask you why you did something, or, snicker or sneer when you make some type of play. Being a man or a woman, that's a very uncomfortable environment, and nobody wants to feel stupid or nobody wants to be ridiculed. So certainly it's important for us to check ourselves in that spot if we want to grow the game, which I think we are.
The two live 2-5 pros are like looking at each other and laughing, and they're kind of like pointing at you like, how can you believe she did this, with the ace-10 off on the, two-tone board, like whatever. Like, it's just that needs to stop as well. The condescending nature that some players have needs to be erased, because those players need to think it's just better for the game long term. If you want to be critical of somebody's play, sorry, just keep it to yourself. Just keep it to yourself. It's that simple. Let's not be arrogant, condescending, sexist, all that.
Amen, brother. Now, one of the things we know at WSOP.com, you cannot, in fact, engage in the chat. So maybe people really enjoy, maybe if we everyone just shut up for the most part, it would be helpful and better. It seems to be creating an environment that's facilitating more women. And since it's already legal in Europe for women to play, I guess I would assume, and I would be interested to see, I would be curious if we're seeing a lot more European women playing than, we are American women, because they're able to play online. And if you are in Europe and you are looking to play, you definitely will want to check out our sponsors and friends of the podcast, GGPoker. They've got some of the best ambassadors in the game. Word on the street is they have some of the best software in the game, and it looks fantastic. They're running all kinds of amazing promotions, including you can get 54 WSOP bracelets. So if you guys are in Europe or one of the other places in the world where you are allowed to play poker online, be sure to check out our friends GGPoker. And I did make a video this week on Monday in response to GGPoker's first sort of big Sunday in the WSOP. They ran into several issues, and I, honestly, even since they sponsored the podcast, I didn't want to, be a punk or call anybody out, but actually even GG themselves were like, this is the news and this is what happened, and we want to just acknowledge everything that's happening, be transparent, and, create an environment where it doesn't seem sketchy. And so for those who missed it, basically there was 3 sort of incidents, if you will, that happened on this very big Sunday. And the first one was, I think what they ultimately determined was that it was caused by just an overwhelming number of players who were not only trying to jump into this tournament, which was event number 32, the $100 opener, and also in event number 33, the the charity event for COVID, that there was just an overwhelming number of players trying to get in, and that also there was an overwhelming number of players that were just trying to observe, that this caused some issues in their system. And then the second incident, it looks like, sort of came as a result of that first incident. So they were trying to deal with this massive influx of players, and they wanted to increase the length of late reg to remedy some of the delays that happened in the first incident, and that this caused what they called a server client protocol mismatch, and that led to some players then being disconnected. And then finally, the third thing was that in the early hours of Monday, in the early hours of July 20th, a DDoS attack affected one of GGPoker's servers, and that also led to players being unable to load the client. Now, for those who don't know what a DDoS attack is, it's happened to quite a few of the big sort of powerhouses in the poker business, but it's basically when a server or a network just gets overwhelmed with a flood of traffic, and this is usually done just in an attempt to disrupt what should be like the normal flow of traffic. And it's it's unfortunate. It's happened to a lot of the major people. The reaction that GGPoker had, they've been doing a lot of things to try to fix it, and they've said that on the 24th of July, they're going to do this emergency maintenance to adjust a lot of things. They changed their server capacity sort of in an immediate response, almost immediately. It took maybe an hour or something like that to fix some of the problems, but they're really trying to dig into the root issues. And then they offered the remaining like 3,684 players left in the opener that they would each receive a tournament buy-in of $100 for the inconvenience, and then they doubled the prize pool of that event 33, the charity event. This, of course, as is to be expected in the poker community, got lots of different responses. Chad, Jeff, what do you think about the response?
I'm going to say real quick, like, obviously it's disappointing how it got started. I think a lot of people felt that GGPoker should have been better prepared for knowing how many players would be playing or would be online, would be interested in this event. And I can't disagree. Like, it's like the WSOP last summer with the Big 50. Like, clearly they were overwhelmed and they should have anticipated more. Maybe these places, when they have these big events, should start thinking, okay, what's our best case scenario? Now let's prepare for double, triple, or quadruple that, so that they're just for sure prepared. Now, I think the good news, the silver lining in all this, is that GGPoker obviously cares about the poker community in their response, right? They want to make sure that they are doing the right thing, that is going to benefit the most players. They're going to they're trying to make this right, and they've been really transparent about it, which I think is great. A lot of poker companies might not be willing to share as much information about what happened as GGPoker did. So they're being upfront about it. They're trying to make it right. And I think a silver lining about the whole thing is, hey, at least it happened right at the beginning, right? Yeah. So now I feel like they're going to work, doubly hard to make sure it doesn't happen again throughout. They're going to make sure that the rest of this series goes off without a hitch, runs to perfection. And, as opposed to this happening in the middle of the series, where it could maybe potentially do a lot more damage in terms of events that are already happening or what have you. I don't know. I just think it's if you have to find a positive in this situation, it's that it happened right out of the starting gate, gives them a chance to fix it, fix the machine, and now everything should be running just fine.
Yeah, we can't sugarcoat it, like you guys have said, right? This was an absolute disaster to have your first big Sunday. This is the very first, conclusion of your World Series of Poker events. I guess the World Series of Poker technically started on GG throughout the week, and then it just all crashed. And we had the DDoS attack, we had the critical bug, we had the server overload, we had all of it kind of hit at the same time. It was the worst possible combination of errors with the worst possible timing. To Chad's point, I think it could help long term. I mean, imagine the hysteria, the panic that's going on within the GG office is like, hey, this was our first big shot. This was the World Series of Poker. We've been crushing it over, especially this last year. As far as traffic is concerned, GG is now frequently number one, like beating Poker Stars in some of these attendance numbers. And to have this go wrong was really, 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 really bad. I do think they're doing the right things to make up for it. Obviously, you know, who can argue with a double donation to charity? Everybody who is still in the tournament gets an extra $100 in tournament bucks. So, I mean, that sounds like it's pretty decent as far as an apology is concerned. You know, I'm curious to see moving forward if they can avoid these kinds of bugs or attacks, or when these attacks do hit. I mean, it's just it's hard to come up with what's right here, because I mean, this just doesn't happen that much, but it could happen in the future. There could be plenty more attacks. There could be plenty more bugs that they run into. They could double their attendance, you know, within a month or something like that. So they seem to be on the ball. And I think both of you mentioned this. What's really, really important here is they're taking responsibility, right? They're saying, sure, there's a bug, there was an attack, there's this, there's that, but this is on us. This is on us. We need to fix it. Negreanu came out with a quick video post. He said, this is absolutely unacceptable. You know, this cannot happen. So they're taking blame, they're taking responsibility, and hopefully they can overcome all this, you know, technical BS that's going on.
One good thing that they had going for them on Sunday amidst all this was that event number 34 on the schedule was unaffected, which means we still got to crown the first bracelet winner of the GG Poker portion of the series. So I thought that was at least something positive came out of Sunday on GG Poker. And of course, that was the $525 super turbo bounty, 6-handed. Only took 3 hours and 15 minutes for the 2,214 entry field to play down to a winner, which, I mean, it's got to be like the fastest bracelet in WSOP history, right?
It is.
Unless in, you know, in the 70s when they had a field of like 5, they went crazy or something. But coming out on top was Shoma Ishikawa out of Japan, plays under the name PP_Scion. Ended up winning $117,000 and the first ever international online WSOP bracelet, which is pretty exciting. I believe PokerNews is going to be trying to do an interview with Shoma Ishikawa. Doesn't speak any English, but you know, there's ways around that these days. So just going to take a little translating and what have you. But I'm definitely interested to hear from the first winner of the GG Poker portion, and kind of cool that Japan has a bracelet right off the bat. Japan's one of those markets that is primed to open up in the future, in the years to come. And I think when it does, it's going to be, you know, absolutely huge over there. It's going to be a big market. And then on a personal note, I'm excited because I've always wanted to go to Japan. And if they somehow get poker stops, you know, that will give me the excuse to actually.
So this is just
there.
a selfish approach
Yeah.
to having a Japanese bracelet winner, just so you could potentially have a quote unquote work trip to Japan in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly won't. You know, it won't hurt. I can sell the idea of like, I got to go over there and do a story or something.
That works. I do like what GG does when they get down to a final table. They remove the online screen names and they input all of the players' real names. I really, really like that. I would like to see WSOP.com use the same feature in the future. So we saw Daniel Strelitz at this final table. Strelitz finished in 4th for about $50,000. We saw Fedor make a deep run in this. We saw Mike McDonald make a deep run in this. So the stars are starting to appear on GG, and you could tell in event number 35, the 5K PLO Championship, that was won by Juha Helppi, a bit of a blast from the past. I mean, I know he's popped up a lot in the last 2 years or so, most notably winning the WSOP 10K Limit Hold'em Championship last year. He wins this 5K on GG for more than $290,000. Mike Watson finished in 4th. Jens Kulinen finished in 5th. He's normally regarded as Gene's 89, and so he just went backwards on GG with 9-8-SNAEJ, which I thought was pretty cool. Yuri Zivaleski finishes in 6th. Sergei Rashak finished in 7th. So in GG, we are going to see these high rollers get massive fields, right? This is a 5K prize pool of more than $1.5 million, 328 players in this one and bring out the biggest names in the game. So quite the start to the series on GG.
And of course, in your top 10, you're going to see like 60 to 70% scandies every single time when you're
Especially
in
for
a 5K PLO.
Yeah. No question about that. All of the scandies are out for the PLO events.
I love Hua though. It's great to see him, back at the top, of course. And he is one of those players though that he's managed to maintain a presence on the circuit for basically always. He's always at these big events and just quietly, grinding his stack. All right. Well, I want to give a shout out also to Run It Once, longtime friend of the podcast. We love Run It Once. In fact, what's going on with the challenge? I feel like something's happening in September, maybe. Do you guys know? I feel like someone else has signed up for the challenge.
Yeah, I think it was Chance Cornuth had mentioned that after these WSOP events, that him and Phil Galfond will take up their part of the challenge, which is exciting. We'll need something after the WSOP is done. And as we've seen before the WSOP, the Galfond challenge was certainly an exciting storyline to follow. So, and I've seen that Phil Galfond has played some of these WSOP.com bracelet events. I'm going to assume he will either be playing more of these or maybe playing some of the GG ones, but I don't know. It's pretty exciting to see Phil Galfond getting in the mix.
Absolutely. And if you guys want to try his site, Run It Once, be sure to do it using the code once.run/PNPod, once.run/PNPod to get a first deposit bonus. Oh, good Lord. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we let our fam go?
I mean, we got to do the obligatory. Be sure to rate us, subscribe, leave us that 5-star review. Help spread the word amongst your friends in the poker world. The more listeners we get, the more reviews we get, the better the PokerNews podcast will get. Maybe we'll get more of a budget. You can see I added this fine art right.
Oh, that emanates class. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're watching the video portion of that, and I guess that's a shout out, right, Sarah? Like we if you're listening to this podcast, we also release this in video format on PokerNews.com and on YouTube with the PokerNews Week in Review. So if you want to actually see our lovely faces, you can tune in and watch that video on PokerNews.com.
I just went to our review page to see what's been going on. And Disco Chad, thank you for leaving such a nice review. But Coolio, ha 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 ha, and USC is that you, Jeff Platt? Someone from USC would only give us 2 stars.
It must be me, yeah.
Wow.
Very pretentious snob from USC.
Wow.
I think you need to make a call to USC, Jeff, and find out
we're
who
gonna
this
get that person.
Use that alumni network.
Yeah, we're gonna get that person out of there. Don't worry.
Wow, thank you. Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys and whoever Coolio ha 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 is and USC Justo are. You guys can just GF yourselves. Sincerely, me. You guys need to get on there and leave us a nice review, right? This is basically a labor of love, and the higher ups did go ahead and shut down all of the other podcasts that we were doing because podcasts are not particularly financially worthwhile for the most part. So this is a labor of love that we do, you guys, and we fight for this podcast because we think it is valuable for our fans and we appreciate our listeners. So if you guys we would appreciate that. It would help us to maintain, our status among the higher ups that are pretty consistently trying to, smoke bomb this show. Go to iTunes, rate, review, leave a nice review. If you're not going to leave a nice review, just don't leave one at all. And if you want to get a hold of us, send us guests, send us stories at Auntie Chardonnay, at Jeff Platt, at Chad A. Holloway. Deuces.
The key to winning big is using every little bit of knowledge to your advantage. At Oddschecker, we give you the edge. Better odds, better picks, and better offers to make you a better bettor. Why settle for less? Quickly compare the odds at every sportsbook to ensure that you're getting the best price to maximize your return. Not only that, but we have experts on every sport, from hoops and football through to soccer and boxing. Our experts analyze the form and study the stats to deliver you totally free picks and parlays. Oddschecker also highlights the most lucrative welcome offers in the industry. If you're looking to open an account, then you are eligible for hundreds of dollars in totally free bets. If you're new to legal sports betting, then we're here to help, offering simple advice to understand betting guides and updates on your state's current legislative situation. Visit us at www.oddschecker.com/US. Oddschecker, sports betting smarter.